a moment ago. So in the game there happened h4, and this move has one big drawback, and namely that now these pawns are weakened, and that the pawn endgames are already lost. So I spent some time here thinking, but I could see no advantage in keeping the pawn on b3 anymore, so I played b2, because now if white somehow gives up his pawn and strives for an endgame, I can penetrate with my king via g3. And after this move, after this move in positions like this, with my king around f6 or f5, I can play rook b3 actually. And this exchange favors black because white's king is too far away, and these pawns might fall quite quickly. Will fall quite quickly. So this is what should not have happened actually. White should try to avoid this, but well, actually I had an alternative here, king f6, but I believe that it leads only to a draw. And apart from king f6, I can play some waiting moves. I believe that it's the same, more or less the same. And now white can even play g4. Maybe he has to play it, because if he waits like this, then he might have serious problems. This position might be lost. I still believe that it is defensible at this particular situation, but okay, I was not entirely sure. And now rook g5 is a good move, because if black moves his rook, then there might be a check. And if he moves his king, advances his king, then I play rook g7 and advance the pawn somehow. Actually, I'm not quite sure about this, but white to calculate it when white can play g4, maybe, and make a draw. But of course I calculated it because I did not know that g4 was a draw, and it took me a lot of time. And maybe I am still mistaken. King g7, I don't have to go back immediately, but after after g5 I cannot go there, as I have already shown. King takes g5, h6. So this is why I prefer to get back immediately. And now I believe that h5 is a draw, because if black exchanges it, then white plays b6, h6, rook c8, rook c6, and now there are some nice geometric motives. Rook f6. Now it looks as a Zugzwang, but it is no Zugzwang actually, because white can let the pawn go to the third rank, and now black has no way how to improve its position, how to strengthen it. So it is a draw again. And I have one more option at this position, namely to play king h7 immediately. And the trick is that after h6 I can play something like f6. And now, after rook f8, I take the pawn and take on h6 and exchange these two pawns, and it is winning. White's king is too far. But actually, white can probably save a draw by playing this, and g5, thus restricting black's king. And now the correct way seems to be rook c8, rook c6. Or maybe the rook can go, or should go to some other line. d6 looks perhaps better. And now he gives a check, and I believe that this is a draw, because maybe I can play some tempo move, but even with the rook on other file, I believe that this is a draw, because the black's king is cut off, and if I play something like g5, g4, then he always has this move. rook a1, and white's king comes in time here. It is quicker than its black's counterpart. So this is the way which was not played in the game. I will finally shift to the game continuation. I decided to play f5 on these grounds, and I believe it will be quite good, in fact. And I believe that white should have played rook d8 now, or something like this, or maybe rook c8, and try to save this position. But still, I'm quite skeptical about white's chances, because I can play rook b6, king f6, and g5 then. And if I exchange the pawns, then I can exchange these two pawns one day, not immediately, but I can try to penetrate with my king somehow, playing f4 or play h4 and attack this pawn subsequently. I believe it to be lost for white, actually. But there was one more option, to play f4, which my opponent did, and not to play his move g3 and to play rook d8 immediately, because now it's not so simple. It's not so easy to attack this pawn, actually, because if it were on g3, I could attack it immediately, but now it's not so simple. I believe that it should still be winning. I saw some ideas like this, and if he gets back, then I play rook b4 and advance my king, but still he has this square for his rook, and it's not so simple. I don't know, maybe I have some tempo here. This is probably what I wanted to play, but still the idea of rook g3 is possible, remains possible. Okay, it's probably winning, but maybe it's a bit more difficult. But in the game there followed rook b4, g3, rook b3, and now it is winning. I could see that. I could say that I saw one line till the end, but actually I missed some ideas because the position is complicated. He went to rook e8, not rook d8. I'm sorry for this. Rook e3. I played rook b6 first in order to choose between these two squares for my king. Actually, white cannot move his king, and rook e2 is hopeless because of rook b3, because if white exchange these pawns, then one of these two pawns inevitably falls, and rook g2 is terribly passive. I can just advance my king and go to g3. So he has to keep his rook on the third rank, but then there are some Zugzwangs, which is actually what has happened in the game. What happened in the game, I'm sorry. King f7, and now white has to play something. He played the rook a3, which is a clever move. I failed to realize its main idea. I was a bit too superficial. I played it quickly. Now I believe that king e7 was the most accurate move, because rook a7 check, king e6 transposes to the game, and after rook d3 I have king e6, and now white has to allow my king to penetrate via d5, or to let my rook go to b3. In both cases with a completely lost position. Well, I played something different. I played king e6, rook d3, king e7, rook a3. Now I realized that it needn't be so easy, because if I play king d6, then he has a rook a5, and now it is precisely one of the few moments when I cannot play rook b3 because of this check. And it is probably just a draw. So I would have had to play it differently, and I would have been very happy if it were white's move, the king is here. If it were white's move in this position, because after rook d3 I play king e6, as I have already shown, and after some other moves like rook c3 I can already go there because he has no rook a5. And so I played king d7, which is probably rather a tempo move than an attempt to play king c6. And now after rook d3 check I can play king e6 again, or even king c6 is fine. So he gave a check on a7, and now I returned to my pawn in order to be able to defend it in case of the exchange of these two pawns. So king e6, and now rook b3 is threatening again. I can hide my king to h6 in case of lateral checks via the a file. So he had to go back, rook c3. Actually, when I played f5, I saw the position resulting after this. Of course, I did not see all the exact moves and all the ideas behind it, but I saw this very position. King d3 is the most accurate move because I don't allow white's king to advance to the king side. And I even saw this line, and it is easily winning because now the endgame with two spare pawns will appear, but white's king is placed appallingly. It's completely hopeless. So white wanted to avoid this at any cost, and he played rook a4 check instead, but after king d3 he resigned because otherwise I would have netrated to f2, and now I can choose between several winning continuations, for example rook e6. It might be useful to give a check sometimes, but it's not necessary now, actually. The king picks up all the remaining pawns, or at least one of them, which is sufficient. So this was all, and I'm quite happy with the way how I played today. I cannot keep this standard all the time, of course, but I saw quite many ideas, and I was happy with this game, and this is why I decided to show it, even though not being asked. So
thank you.
You are welcome.